einfach meine Freiheit, ja, ich will ja meine Freiheit haben, so dass ich wohnen kann, wo ich will.
Buongiorno a tutte e a tutti, siamo qui con il penultimo appuntamento in avvicinamento a 3070 Doc Fest che sarà dal 19 al 21 di novembre al Multisala Verdi in sala 2. Oggi abbiamo con noi, e sarà anche con noi in sala per presentare il suo film FREIZEIT, or The Opposite of Doing Nothing, Caroline Pitzen. Il film, presentato in anteprima mondiale alla Settimana della Critica a Berlino, è un'indagine a metà tra documentario e fiction sui pensieri, le speranze, le sfide, i progetti e l'idea di vita in comune che hanno dei giovani adolescenti di Berlino. Un film che parla del futuro, è un film che ragiona su appunto la forza anche ideologica della gioventù. Lo fa con una grande classe e dialogando molto con i propri protagonisti. È un film di parola che è molto importante per capire le sfide con cui si confrontano le nuove generazioni. L'intervista sarà condotta in inglese. Abbiamo qui con noi Caroline Pitzen. Hi Caroline, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Hi, how are you? Where are you, firstly?
Actually, I'm at the moment in Bilbao, in Spain, in the Basque Country, at the Cinebi Film Fest, where we had our Spanish premiere this Sunday night. So I'm at another festival, and I will go directly from here to Vittorio, Veneto, to have the Italian premiere of our film with you. And I'm very, very happy that we're going to have it with you at your beautiful festival, and I'm excited to discover the program, the other films, and thanks for inviting our film. I'm very happy.
We're glad that your film is in our competition, and I would like to start just by asking you if you want to describe or tell in your own words what FREIZEIT for you is about.
So FREIZEIT is a film about a group of Berlin adolescents, 5 young adolescents, and it's about how they spend their free time. It's about left-leaning political activism and the development of a political consciousness, and also about the rapidly changing city of Berlin and how it feels to grow up in a city that is changing so quick and so in extreme way in terms of the housing question. And it's a film that I developed together with these 5 youngsters. So it's a collaboration, and it's actually not a film about them. It's more a film that we created together.
And what was your your path in the making of the film. Did you work with them? Did you collaborate with them, as you said, before the shooting, and how? And how do you did you get in touch with them? Firstly.
Yeah, when I decided that I want to make this film about youth, I had one person in mind. It's actually one of our actors, protagonists, and it's the son of a friend of mine, and I know him since he was 5 years old. Now he's 21. So I saw him growing up. I saw him like developing his own thoughts towards the world we're living in. And I was addressing him that I would really like to make this project together with him. And then we like had some talks, met several times, and he said yes. And then we organized, the two of us, we organized together like an open call where many, many youngsters came, and I presented the project. And out of this meeting, the group that is now in the film found together. And your first part of the question, we actually had quite a long process of working together before we started to shoot. So that was like a very intense summer where we, like about 3 months, where we weekly met and we're developing the content of our film together. So I gave them exercises and they took these exercises into their weeks and brought things back, and we discussed them together. And the material that we gathered during these sessions, I somehow classified and put it onto cards. And in the end, after like these 3 months, we had like a huge mountain of cards, and we met and decided together what we want to shoot and what should be in the film from the material that we were working on together beforehand. Yeah.
Okay, and about the shooting, the film is very visible that is constructed like in some tableau and some portrayal of conversation. And what was the procedure for you to think about this a place, and also, as you usually do, the lecture of a book? What was for you the making and your mental like creative process in the making of the location, the book, and the speech?
Mm-hmm. So actually, I wanted to make a film about conversation, and I wanted to like bring certain topics up and also images through a dialogue form. So I decided to not show certain things, but to let them discuss about them. So that was like the idea from the very first beginning, to not act out things. And for me, that was also connected to the topic of left-leaning activism, because I think it's so loaded with images, and like people have their images, the media has their images, and I did not want to reproduce that. So we decided to film conversations. And regarding the material, like the intellectual material that was with us or that came in during the process of working together. So there's actually like this writer, Ronald Czernikau. We have like a archival footage at the beginning of the film where he's shown too. So his first book, it's called Kleinstadtnovelle, Small Town Novella, was there from the very first beginning. He wrote it when he was 17. It's quite fascinating. In the 70s, late 70s, 77, he started to write that. And this text was guiding me, like from the very first beginning. I thought about this project. So this actually, like this material was there, and also the film Coole Wampe, oder Wem gehört die Welt, or Who Owns the World by Sladan Dudov. So like these two, like the film and the book were there, and I told them like the youngsters very early about about this material. And then they also started to bring in material. So for example, the Tucholsky poem that is in the film that came to us directly, as we see it in the film, through a smartphone, from one of them. Yeah, and it's from the 30s.
And one of the last sequence that we see in your film is with the film that you just mentioned, and I was curious about the dialectic that the film create, the archival images of the film creates with your film. And I was really curious if you want to share with us, why did you choose this precise film that is not so known and so, but is also scripted by Bertolt Brecht, if I'm correct?
Yeah, this scene that we see is scripted by Bertolt Brecht. Yeah, that's true. But the director is Zlatan Dudov, and it's a film actually that also deals with the housing situation at the late 20s, early 30s in the city of Berlin. And somehow, I mean, of course, it was a different time, and probably it was also more extreme than it is now, but it was a bit like the same thing that people had to leave their flats and move to the outskirts of the city. And on the other hand, like the right wing, like the Nazis were rising in this, like in the country, but also in the city. So I think it's a very special and unique film. It has like a special history as well. It was censored, so it disappeared for quite a long time. It had a revival in the late 60s, and also recently in Berlin. During the past 10 years, it appeared again, because the housing situation in the city of Berlin is getting so extreme. So there were like activist groups like also showing this film. So it appeared again. And for me, it was important to show them the film, because also in terms of the whole shooting procedure, there were like similarities to what I wanted to do with them. So to shoot in the free time and to shoot in a different way, not in a very conventional way.
Okay, and the film is it's about this conversation between this youngster, and they really reflects and think about their future mainly, and the future of them within the city of Berlin in this case. And I was interested in also their relation with the past, the recent past also of the city of Berlin, because Berlin was a split city, and there is a really interesting moment when one of the youngsters said that about something about Prenzlauer Berg and the rent there, and Prenzlauer Berg since I don't know 30 years ago was a poor part of the DDR. So I was interested in also in discover if how much they handle also the recent history of their city and the contradiction of the moving from two states to one state, and what the gentrification in some neighborhood that this process brought them, because we saw just the end of the line that it's their speech about gentrification, but I was curious about how much they are accustomed and to their the recent history of the city.
Yeah, actually, I think they're discovering it, and they're pretty much interested. All their family, like they're all from families from the former East, but they were born sometime after the GDR came to an end. But I think, like what you were describing with the developments in Prenzlauer Berg. Prenzlauer Berg is one neighborhood in Berlin that very like after the GDR ended became like pretty soonish hip, you know, like people were buying flats there, houses were renovated, so it completely changed, and many people who had been living there for ages were pushed out, and they all grew up in the district Friedrichshain, which is somehow neighboring, and there, like a bit later, happened the same. I mean, they were like, for example, squats, also in Prenzlauer Berg and also in Friedrichshain. But then, it changed, and they grew up in the middle of the city. It's hard, or it's impossible for them to find a flat now there, you know? And this is just, of course, something very unjust, and that they're like personally affected of. So there's a recent part of it, but of course they also discover, okay, how was it? What is happening here? How was it when our parents moved here, you know? It was a cheap neighborhood. People had big flats for a very affordable price. So I think through what is happening to them, they start to discover the past as well. But not only about the housing question. I mean, like also, it's quite an interesting observation that this is a generation that really thinks about the past. I mean, like these people, and about their own identity within the country that was splitted.
And what was the biggest surprise for you in working with them? What they brought you that was unbelievable for you in a moment, and really surprising, because the film and the speech, the conversation are really surprising. If we believe that they are youngster and they're really teenagers. So what was for you the one of the biggest surprise for you in the making and and filming your FREIZEIT?
Yeah, I think a big surprise was their maturity, and that they live in this utopian moment in life called youth, but even if they haven't experienced certain things yet, and they have a freedom that will maybe leave them at a certain point, it was just like interesting to see how mature they are and how gentle they talk with each other. So I mean, like also like in the period before, like in these 3 months when we were preparing the film, it was just like super beautiful to see them communicating with each other and trying to understand different positions and experiences. And I think, and it was very rich also for me personally. And it was like very beautiful, like this, like in terms of their personalities, but like in terms of the film, I was really fascinated how well it worked to make it together, you know, because I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna work, but it was really like a very beautiful working process, where I also learned quite a lot. I think everybody of us came out with a new experience, you know, after like this intense year of working together.
The film, you filmed these people in a very frontal way, and I was curious about their relationship with the camera, because they are from a generation that is constantly filming and everything. And what was the feeling they have with your camera, with your eye?
Yeah, so actually I think like this working period really created already the space of the film, and the camera was a new person entering, you know. It was like it felt a bit like, okay, now we're not the 6 of us anymore, now we're like 10 maybe, and one person is also the camera. And I mean, we like the whole thing is very constructed, so it was very clear where a conversation begins, where it ends, where we like stop, or like where we pass by during a conversation, and who has which role. Also, it was not always like that it's their own experience, you know. So it was very clear who has which role, and so we also repeated things, or like we changed the camera positions. I mean, now what is in the film, it's like very like we have like these very formally, like these very strict shots, but sometimes you can see that there's also like other shots. And no, I think it felt quite natural for them, because it was this filmic space that we created. And of course, camera and sound were like other protagonists of the whole process. And I mean, they did not work on the technique, but they all had time to like discover what can the camera do, or like what does the sound do? How does it feel like if you have the earphones on?
Okay. And last thing, are you working on a new project? Are you still working with youngster? I was curious. And also, are you still working on? Are you planning some new documentary like this one? And if I can, I'd really like to know what influenced you most in the writing and in the thinking of the films, because the film dialogate very and conversate very well with some militant and politic documentary from I think about Straboulier, but also other. And I was curious about what was your influence when you were thinking and creating the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a new project actually, and it also will deal like in a very different way, but again with young activists. But it will broaden up the perspective a bit, and it will be all over Europe. So it's gonna be a different thing, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say at the moment. And influences, I mean, there's so many influences, and I think it's always like pretty hard to like, or for me at least, to like put it on certain persona within film history or like theory. Or for me, it's more that I think about the cinema a lot. And as I said, I think like in terms of how to work, of course, there's like many influences, but especially like this film Vampe and also People on Sunday were like inspirations. I mean, it's like two films from the late 20s, early 30s. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's always like hard to put it on certain persona, because for me, it's more like, it's like, you know, my backpack from years watching films, reading, looking into the world and observing what is happening there, and my city as well. I'm from Berlin. So I think it's quite a lot. And I don't want to pin it down on certain names or traditions of filmmaking. It's a lot, but it's true what you're saying. I mean, of course, there's a relation to militant cinema that started after, or like during like the '68 movement, which I'm pretty much interested in. And I think like showing conversations, for example, there was a time where it was more popular to do that. And I don't see it that much anymore. So I wanted to bring that back on screen.
Okay. Thank you so much, Caroline, for being with us today. I will switch to Italian just to end the conversation. Grazie mille, Caroline, per essere stata qui con noi. Io vi ricordo che il film sarà proiettato sabato 20 alle 19 al Multisala Verdi, sala 2. Ci sarà Caroline Pitzen a introdurlo e poi a commentarlo e a discutere con voi. Quindi è assolutamente un evento imperdibile nella programmazione della seconda edizione, la prima in presenza di 3070 DocFest. Vi ringrazio ancora per essere stati qui con noi. Vi ricordo 3070 DocFest, Vittorio Veneto, Multisala Verdi, dal 19 al 21 di novembre e poi dal 22 di novembre al 22 di dicembre online. Vi ringrazio ancora e vi do appuntamento alle 17 con l'ultima intervista che sarà condotta da Viviana Carlet con Sanaz Sorabi, regista di One Image, Two Acts. Grazie ancora e buon pomeriggio.
Ich will einfach meine Freiheit, ich will ja meine Freiheit haben, so dass ich wohnen kann, wo ich will.